New Year City Council meeting for Urbandale. I will call the meeting to order and ask Nicole to take roll call, please.
Bodie,
Here.
Carberry Montgomery,
Here.
Kroll,
Here.
Rosendahl,
Here.
And Councilperson Cacciatore is, well, he's just walking in right now, so. I was just gonna announce you were caught up in traffic, Joe, but we'll allow you to get to the dais and get set up here. Perfect timing. All right, so if you can please stand as you're able for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Urbandale is a national leader in character counts, endeavoring at all times to promote and model the principles of trustworthiness, respect, responsibility, fairness, caring, and citizenship. In conducting tonight's meeting, we expect that all participants will act in a respectful manner consistent with these principles. Item 2 is to approve the agenda. Is there a motion, please?
So moved.
Motion by Kroll.
Second.
Second by Bodie. Discussion. I'm sorry, Joe. We'll give a brief moment for Joe to get set up and logged in here.
And here's the Metro Waste Authority annual report for anybody that wants to look at it. All right, we have a motion and a second, so please vote. That passes, thank you. Item 3, presentations. We have a proclamation for Martin Luther King Jr. Day 2026 for the city of Urbandale. Whereas Martin Luther King Jr. was a visionary leader, tireless advocate for civil rights and equality, and a symbol of nonviolent activism. And whereas his steadfast commitment to justice, peace, and equality transformed our nation and our world, inspiring millions to work towards a more just and inclusive society. And whereas Martin Luther King Jr. Day provides an opportunity to reflect on the enduring legacy of this great leader, his dream of a world free from discrimination and prejudice, and his call for unity, understanding, and compassion. And whereas it is imperative that we continue to uphold and honor the principles of justice, equality, and dignity for all, and commit ourselves to working towards a future where the content of one's character is the measure of a person. Now therefore, I, Mayor Robert Andeway, do hereby proclaim Monday, January 19, 2026, as Martin Luther King Jr. Day in Urbandale, and encourage all citizens to participate in activities and programs that commemorate this day, fostering a spirit of goodwill, unity, and community service. And I will sign that. And we do not have anybody to accept that tonight. Do we have, the library normally does some activities too. Do we have a list of, does the library have, has anybody heard anything? Bridget, you heard anything? Or Nicholas is right there. I'm sorry, Nicholas. I didn't see you back there. Nicholas, if you want to highlight what the library's going to do?
Yes, indeed. Mayor, members of council, happy to be here tonight. We, along with the rest of the city, are closed on Martin Luther King Jr. Day, but we did usually hold like a, well, thank you. Thank you. We do usually do like an event to promote volunteerism in Urbandale, and we actually held the event last night.
Okay.
So it was a volunteer fair. We had about 15 different organizations that came in, had a booth in our large meeting room, and we had almost 100 people that showed up interested in learning more about volunteer opportunities here in Urbandale. So all in all, it was a really great turnout. Very happy to have that.
Wonderful. Thank you, Nicholas. Appreciate it. Thank
Yep.
you. All right, moving on then. This is the time for Citizens Forum. This is the time and the opportunity to address the council on something that's not a part of tonight's agenda. Would anyone like to address the council this time? Okay. Please come up and give your name and address for the record.
Yes. Riley Lester, 1201 Office Park Road, apartment 601. I'm here today just as a concerned citizen, concerned about things that are going on in the world and concerned about things that are going on right here, specifically in Des Moines. Specifically about AI data centers and how it's affecting the climate. And I understand y'all don't have control over big systemic issues affecting the climate or the progress of AI, but there are things that we can do to protect our community here. I want to start by making a distinction between data centers and AI hyperscale computers. The goal of AI is simply to produce as much computing power as possible, jam it into as dense of a box as possible, and use up as much power as they can. A traditional data center uses about 7 kilowatts of energy to be powered, while an AI rack consumes 132 kilowatts. It's about 20 times more power. In 2023, AI supercomputers consumed about 12% of the total energy in all of Iowa. And in my calculations, in 2026, that number is closer to 20%. To produce that kind of power, you need to burn fossil fuels and you need to cool it down. The burning of fossil fuels has been directly correlated and proven to be causing the 6th mass extinction event that we are currently in. Since 1970, 60% of all insects have gone extinct, leading to 30% of all birds to be extinct. Since 1960, about 50% of all total species in the world has gone extinct. We just crossed a planetary boundary for coral reef dieback, meaning coral reefs will officially be dead within 100 years and they will never come back, in the scope of human terms, I guess. And NASA just came out with new numbers saying that we will cross 4 degrees Celsius by 2080 with the current path that we are on. And 4 degrees Celsius, it leads to systemic collapse. It's cascading failure with crops, mass migration, and natural disasters. NASA has said that this will happen with the current trajectory we are on. Multiple sources have. Furthermore, these data centers have to be cooled with water. As y'all know, Iowa is currently in a water crisis. Des Moines had to shut down people watering their lawns because of the nitrates in the water and the PPAs in the water. It's a serious concern. And to use more of our filtered water to power these giant supercomputers that are already damaging our environment is a terrible waste of our resources that will lead to systemic collapse in the United States and in Iowa. I just got back yesterday from a West Des Moines City Council where I brought this to their attention because a lot of these AI super centers are in West Des Moines, in that area. They voted on a bill or a resolution to expand the Microsoft campus yesterday. And after listening to my concerns, it unanimously passed. People don't seem to be considering this a serious issue, and it is a serious issue. It's the most serious issue that we have. I work in conservation myself. It's my profession. Specifically here in Iowa, we have less than 1% of prairie remnants remaining, and we have less than 1% of natural wetlands remaining. Iowa is the most ecologically damaged area in the history of the world. Over 98% of the landscape has been totally transformed. It's not a sustainable path, and I understand we don't have control over a lot of things. We don't have control over what the federal government's doing or what's going on overseas, but we have control of building more ecologically damaging things here in Iowa. And I just ask that moving forward, we take into consideration planetary boundaries that we are crossing due to the path that we're currently on. Thank you.
All right, thank you, Riley. Appreciate your comments. Yes, sir.
My name is Cole. My name is Cole Stanford, 30339 K Avenue.
Cole, is that green light on the microphone? Just want to make sure. Okay,
Yeah.
it's on. Okay.
Yeah. Can you guys hear?
Yeah,
okay,
we can hear
there we
fine.
go.
Just make sure it's written. Yeah, that's
There
good.
we go. All right. So I want to bring concerns up about flock. Have you guys heard of flock?
Yes.
You know it's in your jurisdiction. Okay. So I want to bring up cybersecurity concerns about flock, also along with, constitutional rights violations, and yeah. So through Carpenter v. the United States, you can't have warrantless retroactive location tracking. Flock doesn't need a warrant, and it is retroactive location tracking, and it violates the Fourth Amendment through Carpenter v. United States. Also, let's see. Okay, so there's also been underreported abuses. If you go to deflockme.com, deflock.me, it is a website containing a map of all of the flock cameras across the United States, along with abuses, one of which a Sedgwick police officer in Kansas was able to track his ex for 5 months. He searched her name 164 times and her new boyfriend about 64 times. That's like him tracking his ex at least 1.3 times a day. And he was able to follow both of them. Completely warrantless surveillance. And he did that for 5 months. When eventually he got in trouble for that, he admitted that he lied on the reason logs. The reason logs for Flock is basically, you have to type in why you're searching someone up. He lied. He put in drugs, drug investigation, narcotics, missing child, but he later admitted that it was a lie. He was just jealous, and he admitted that he was jealous. And he was fired, but this is an issue that could be avoided if we add warrants to Flock searches, but there is none at the moment. And not to mention, I have issues with Flock itself because it is a predatory company. So if you read through Flock's terms and conditions, it says basically they spend the first part of their terms and conditions padding their FAQ page. Flock doesn't violate the Fourth Amendment because they go on some word salad about how it's not a near perfect location tracking. However, it is still objectively retroactive location tracking, and it still violates Carpenter v. United States. They also say that they have a strong data ownership policy. What this boils down to is Flock owns their own data, but what that means is you own what you see on the user interface, but in the contract with Flock, it's section 5.3, you grant Flock a royalty-free license and perpetual right to distribute data to third parties, which completely eliminates any type of privacy that the jurisdiction would implement. And also section 4, I believe, they can also distribute your data even if you opt out of national location sharing, which would allow someone from Texas to see what's going on in Iowa. If you opt out of that, it doesn't really matter because I believe section 4, one of the sections in there says that they can just give you the data.
Well, I didn't mean to interrupt, we have about 30 seconds left. I just wanted,
gotcha.
so if you wrap up your comments. So.
Yeah, they can give it to you anyways, and it's out of a good faith argument. Also, concerns I have about Flock cybersecurity, it is incredibly not secure. I was able to, in under a minute, look up, on show.io, find a Flock IP. It's not even encrypted data that's being broadcasted. Anyone can listen, and if I click on DOM hash on this website, I can find 13 more cameras. These cameras are, huge security threats. They hold data on the citizens, and any criminal with basic know-how can access these cameras and take whatever data they want or prey on any citizens they want, and that is a huge concern.
Yeah.
And also there's concerns I have about if
I need to have you wrap it up, Cole, so if you could kind of sum up what your comments. So.
Yeah, I suppose that's about it, but it's just not secure. It violates the Fourth Amendment, and that's pretty much it.
Okay.
All right, thank you.
Thank you, Cole. Yeah, thank you. Is there anyone else who'd like to address the council on something that's not a part of tonight's agenda?
All right, seeing none, then we will move on. Item 5 is the adoption of the minutes from the December 16 meeting.
So move.
Motion by Bodie,
Second.
second by Carver and Montgomery. Discussion, please vote. That passes. Item 6 is the consent agenda. We have 15 items for approval.
Move approval of the consent agenda.
Motion by Kroll,
Second.
second by Cacciatore. Discussion, please vote. The Jew guy in the end. That's a long-standing joke, Joe. That passes. All right, item 7 is public hearings. We are back into the public hearing for the public hearing consideration of bids for the public library interior renovations project. This public hearing is still open, and reintroduce the item is our library director, Nicholas Jannings. And Nicholas?
Yes, thank you, Mayor, members of council. Yes, here again for the public hearing. Happy to say that we worked through all of the minor issues that we had with the contract. I think it was basically things related to insurance and having the contractor provide the builder's insurance and not the city. But all of those things have been finalized, and really no other significant changes to report on with the project. So with that, happy to answer any questions that you might have.
Okay, thank you, Nicholas. Any questions from Nicholas from the council at this point? And again, this public hearing is still open, so I would ask, is there anyone in the audience who would like to address the council on this item before we close the public hearing? All right, seeing none, is there a motion then to close the public hearing?
So moved.
Motion by Kroll,
Second.
second by Bodie. Discussion, please vote. That passes. And then we have 3 resolutions for approval.
Motion to approve Resolution 317-2025.
Motion by Rosendahl,
Second.
second by Carberry Montgomery. Discussion, please vote. That passes.
Motion to approve Resolution 318-2025.
Motion by Rosendahl,
Second.
second by Carberry Montgomery. Discussion, please vote. There's 319.
Okay. Motion to approve Resolution.
Oh, I'm sorry, that
Yeah.
passes. I'm sorry. Yes, I'm sorry. You're waiting for me.
Train me
That
well.
passes. All right.
Motion to approve Resolution 319-2025.
Motion by Rosendahl,
Second.
second by Carberry Montgomery. Please vote. It's a new year. That passes. All right, thanks, Nicholas, appreciate it. All right, item 7.2 is the public hearing consideration of bids for Fire Station Number 42 interior renovations project. This, again, is an item that was continued from the December 16 meeting, and Scott Hoke, our Assistant Parks and Rec Director, will answer any questions on this, or I have a presentation. You have.
Yeah, we'll share a little bit. Nicholas did a great job sharing some images. We were going to do it at this meeting, so we'll share a few images so council understands where we are with the project and what's happening here. Chief did a great job with an overview, but I'll show you a few pictures because they help me a lot. So there's really 3 parts to this redesign. The main office area, we'll get some changes, and then there's 2 really additional areas that are being renovated in order to have some sleeping quarters and office space as well. The first one, of course, the one that the public would probably see the most is the main office area, and this is to allow the fire marshal to move down to Fire 42 from Fire 41, and it would be shortening up this desk a little bit. There'd still be a reception desk there, but would be adding an office in that location. The second area is to add a battalion chief office and sleeping space. So we're taking this current area over here, which is, I think, some basic storage, and renovating it to add the sleeping space and then the office. And then the third one is to have a sleeping quarters for the lieutenant. Again, it's taking some of this open space here, cording it off, and creating that space up there as well too. Office and sleeping quarters, excuse me. So those are the 3 areas, all internal. We had 11 firms submit bids for the projects. Based on the review of the bids, it's recommended the low bid of GTC Construction be accepted. The bid was less than the architect's estimate. We had a very favorable bid market with the number of bids that we received, so we were very happy about that. Anticipated construction would start yet this winter. We actually are hoping to get a pre-construction meeting this week, pending council approval, and scheduling to be finished early this summer. So with that, I would be happy to answer any questions.
Good picture. Any questions for Scott?
Looks good.
All right, thank you, Scott. Again, this is a public hearing that was continued from the December 16 meeting, so I'd ask, is there anyone that would like to address the council on this item before we close the public hearing? Okay, seeing none, is there a motion to close this public hearing?
So moved.
Motion by Kroll,
Second.
second by Cacciatore. Discussion, please vote. That passes. 3 items for consideration.
Move Resolution 314-2025.
Motion by Bodie,
Second.
second by Cacciatore. Discussion, please vote. That passes.
Move Resolution 315-2025.
Motion by Bodie.
Second.
Second by Cacciatore. Discussion, please vote. That passes.
Move Resolution 316-2025.
By Bodie.
Second.
Second by Cacciatore. Discussion, please vote. And that passes. All right, thank you. Thanks, Scott. Item 7.3 is a public hearing to consider the 2026 to 2031 capital improvements program. The public notice for this was published in the December 19, 2025 Des Moines Register. And ask any objections to that. Notice is published.
There were none.
Is there a motion to open this public hearing?
So moved.
Motion by Kroll,
Second.
second by Bodie. Discussion, please vote. That passes. I'll turn it over to David to introduce it. David?
Sure. Thank you. I'm going to, since we had 2 lengthy work sessions on the CIP and the department heads have gone through the projects in great detail, I'm going to focus on the high level, and then the department heads are here to answer questions if there are specific questions about the projects. Just a little bit about the engagement on the new CIP process. We had, in addition to the 2 in-person and electronically available work sessions that were attended, both in person and we had email citizen engagement as well. Staff discussed the projects with the Parks and Rec Commission. We had 500 views on the CIP interactive map webpage.
Good.
And our staff sent winter reminder postcards to all households. That was about 14,000 recipients. We had about 4,000 subscribers to the December newsletter, so the CIP map was included as part of that December newsletter as well. And then the news article on the front page, of the website. The CIP is a robust set of projects at $211.65 million. If that sounds like it would be more than typical, it is, because that's influenced by the inclusion of the police headquarters. So that's why it may sound larger than typical. And about $35.5 million in expenditures in the 2026 construction year, so this construction year. So it is a very healthy CIP. The only changes that are in the capital improvement program that's before you, and the pages have been updated and were included in the packet and are in hard copy before you, are as such. One is we changed the wording, as we discussed in the work session, to explicitly include that both the police station replacement and Fire Station 41, that there's an intent to evaluate sustainability initiatives as part of those projects. That was always expected, but we made that more explicit, and that we intend to have add alternates incorporated into those construction cycles for the council's consideration. The second change is the Water Trails project we discussed at the work session in terms of accelerating that project because of the possible inclusion and availability of a $125,000 grant. So I just want to point out that was moved up or accelerated to 2028, as we discussed. In addition to that, those costs were updated because the costs needed to be right-sized. They were increased somewhat from the original estimates that were included in the CIP. The third is the solar array to be designed and constructed in 2027. For example, Fire Station 42, ground-mounted solar, and that now has its own page in the CIP. And then the, essentially staff, which I think this is a good move, we combined the indoor-outdoor rec hub project and the multi-function recreational facilities page and move those to the building section. So as we had quite a bit of discussion throughout the process, both at the CIP and at the council meeting where the council approved the 121st Street purchase. So that is now incorporated into one page. The key there, I think, is that with the acquisition or the anticipated acquisition of the 121st Street project, the gyms, staff will be very busy in 2026 getting that geared up and ready to program. And so as we discussed, the Rec Hub project, which originally was recommended in 2026 at $2,275,000, is now downsized to $400,000 and pushed back to 2027. And that gives us a chance to really get our arms around the programmatic opportunities that exist in the 121st Street. I think staff will be extremely busy with that new facility and new project. And then it gives us a chance to reevaluate as part of the next CIP process. But there is a placeholder in 2027 for $400,000, and I did want to mention that. The funds obviously contemplates the acquisition of the 121st Street property as well. The funds for that are local option sales tax proceeds as well. So those are the changes that were based on the council input and or direction. And everybody's here to answer questions if you have any.
A question about the multi-function recreational facilities. That's a mouthful, I think. What you just said there about the new facility on 121st Street, David. So the 3.2 for 26 is the acquisition, and then you've got 500,000 for construction. Is that what we're estimating for new flooring and other?
It is to get the facility up and ready to program. So we have an estimate for the flooring. We have an estimate to expand the parking, which we anticipate will be necessary in order to, particularly if we're going to have tournaments, which we expect we would have at some point, whether that's immediately or down the road a little bit. So yes, that 500,000 is to basically after the acquisition to get the facility up and ready to go.
And can you remind me or Jan the timeline on that? Like when are we closing, and when are we hoping to be able to start programming?
We're in due diligence now. We anticipate closing on or before March 1st. That was what was in the purchase agreement. And then, there'll be some time to have the new floor installed and to have the programmatic work done. Jan, are we thinking May or June as far as actually getting the program up and running? Defer her on that.
Timing certainly hasn't been set yet. We have had a flooring consultant come in to start looking at that, but it could take up to 12 weeks of getting the materials, installation, and so forth. A lot depends on, similar to playgrounds, when we have a company ready to install a playground, when school is out, they divert to schools. So if that were to happen, it might be later summer as well, but we certainly are looking to, as soon as that new floor gets in, but a lot is just the timing of getting that ordered and when they can install it.
And since we're programming it now as a renter for the senior classes, will they'll have to be a pause for a session or two on those?
Yes, we are
wouldn't there?
anticipating that and are planning accordingly for that. But a lot, there is potentials of if the floor were to stay and they didn't find a buyer, then what is the timing of that? There's a lot of scenarios, and we'd know that by March 1st. We'll know a lot more of what the sequence will be, but we are getting our ducks in a row, doing our due diligence. The roof looks good, the electrical looks good, everything like that looks good. So we're poised and ready as soon as March
I'm
1st
sure
Um,
you are.
to get things ready. So very excited about it.
Well, thank you. I'm very excited about this project. I guess I have another question for Pat. The movement of the Water Trails project to 2028, is that align with your understanding of?
The availability of the grant?
Yes. Okay.
Yes, that should work out. Basically, they've got the money ready. The difference is in how they award the monies now. Now they don't award the monies until you actually have a contract and you're about to spend the money. But they tell you you're going to get the money. So we
Great.
should be fine.
Thank you.
Fingers crossed.
Other questions at this point from the council? Again, we're on a public hearing on this item. Would anyone like to address the council on this? Jim, yep, floor is yours.
I'll be gone in a couple weeks, so you won't see me, so FYI. Tim Fitzgerald, 15805 Winston Avenue. Good to see you guys again tonight. Appreciate the opportunity to speak. Just wanted to chime in on a few things if I could. I watched CIP workshops, was at the last council meetings when you guys had a discussion as well. I really appreciate the progress that the city is making and the projects they're doing, looking at redeveloping streets, especially out west by us, adding streetlights, adding park amenities on the western side that have been lacking for a long time. I still am a little concerned, as I mentioned in an email, about the timing of some of the street projects on Douglas Parkway and in the western suburbs, or the western part of Urbandale, I should say, especially with the interstate construction going on. I feel that's something that really needs to be addressed, and you should really push those projects back so that it doesn't coincide with Hickman interchange being closed, et cetera. I think this is, if you drove in that area this summer with the interstate closed, it was a nightmare. I think this is a recipe for disaster if you guys move forward with the timing of those projects at the same time the interstate closed. I also am very concerned about the lack of plans in the CIP for the existing fire and police stations. The way I understand it, those, if things move forward as you guys are projecting, those will be out of service in 2029. That's part of a CIP. I think those are very important buildings. Should be in a CIP project that's covering the next 5 years and plus the next 5 to 10 years after that. I really encourage you to be very open and transparent with the residents moving forward about what those projects are going to entail. And I'm very disappointed those details are lacking in the current CIP. I appreciate the city being aggressive in the CIP, but at the same time, I do have some concerns about the amount of money being spent. There are things like many projects, and I don't know how the inner workings of it all, but projects that have consultants on them, I would think staff would be of expertise in some of those areas that you would need a consultant to design certain projects that would maybe save money. I would encourage you to look also for true needs of certain projects in the scope of projects. Driving around Urbandale, you see very many trails that are put in place, which I have no problem with, but I do have concerns and questions about why we need a 10-foot trail next to a 5-foot sidewalk in certain areas along Douglas, 170th, and Waterford. Not only is that an extra cost for something that's probably not needed, it is also probably contributing to water runoff as well for the extra concrete. I am a little concerned going forward about how much money is being spent on the parks area. I have been a very big advocate of adding facilities in the western part of town, but I look at the CIP and wonder when, if there is, or when there may be an end game about how many parks the city needs, how many facilities the cities are needed in the parks, et cetera. The listing of the projects in the CIP, the new buildings, the recreation parks, shifting that to the buildings, I think is maybe one way to, the reason you're doing that a little bit is when you look at the CIP, there's $15 million being spent in the next 5 years on parks projects. Those two buildings are $6 million. That adds up to about $21 million or 10% of the CIP budget. That is a lot of money that's being spent on the parks facilities areas, and that concerns me about going forward, the cost of those projects and the operating costs of those projects as well, and what that's going to do for your budget. I have the same concern about the ground area out of Fire Station 42. I wonder if that is a truly needed project. Does that project take into the future consideration the growth of that station, the training facility that may be needed to grow with the facility being used for other municipalities as well? I looked at the study. You guys are budgeting a $325,000 cost. The study says it'll be 291,000, and the lifetime savings is 185,000 roughly. To me, there's not a payback in that. I know that some of the projects, some of the numbers in there use present value calculations and things like that. Those numbers are all variables that can be changed to make it look as a profitable or non-profitable project. It also made me wonder if you're considering things like wind, hail, snow damage, things of that nature, insurance costs, et cetera. The aesthetics of it. Does it look good to have a big solar array right on 121st Street? I'm sure you all argue as well. I know there's a council wants to do sustainability projects, and I have no problem with that if it makes fiscal sense. I just don't think this project makes fiscal sense. You will probably argue that $325,000 is not a lot of money in the CIP. My argument is that is a snowball effect. If you pull $325,000 for a project on this, where's that money coming from? Does that money come from another project, and now you have to borrow money to finance and do? That leads to interest costs, and it just is a snowball effect. So spending that money on that project does not pay for itself, creates a snowball on everything else in your budget. I really think you need to do a true cost-benefit analysis of projects like that in the future. Not only the upfront costs, you have to look at what the consultants are presenting. My opinion, in working with different consultants, their job is to put a need forth where they can be hired to put that need and solve that need so they can bring in revenue for their businesses. Please don't hire another consultant to review this information, but just keep that in mind, that that's one of their primary things they do as consultants, is to bring business to their firm. All these little purchases add up, and that's what I think you guys as a city really need to start considering. It really concerns me about all these little purchases, the 300,000, 500,000 here and there. We have, looking at the finance report, about $53 million in GOP bonds, spending $1 million in interest every year. Those numbers are only going to go up with the bond referendum and the GLPs that you guys are going to issue for this year's CIP. So I'd really encourage you going forward to look at the true needs of what needs to be done in the city and the cost benefit analysis of those. Appreciate your time. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Tim. Is there anyone else who'd like to address the council on this item? All right, seeing none, is there a motion to close this public hearing?
So moved.
Motion by Carberry Montgomery,
Second.
second by Bodie. Discussion, please vote.
Sorry.
That passes.
Move approval of council letter 8417.
Motion by Kroll,
Second.
second by Bodie. Discussion, please vote. That passes. All right. Well, thank you again certainly for staff putting this together. Thank you for the time we've spent on this. I want to thank the public participation. Tim, thank you very much specifically for your comments. You've been very, very astute in looking at some of these things, and we appreciate your comments as well. So with that, we have this moving forward. Appreciate it. All right, moving on then to a public hearing for the preliminary assessment for 142nd Street paving project at Meredith Drive to Waterford Road. The public notice for this was published in the, December 19 and December 26 Des Moines Register editions. I ask any objections to that notice is published.
There were none.
Is there a motion to open this public hearing?
So moved.
Motion by Cacciatore,
Second.
second by Rosendahl. Discussion, please vote. That passes. And to introduce this is our Director of Engineering and Public Works, John Larson. John?
Good evening, Mayor, members of the council. Again, this is our public hearing on the preliminary assessment for the 142nd Street paving project. The presentation is fairly similar to what I went through when we kind of set the public hearing, so I'll just hit some of the highlights here. Again, our paving project is about 4,600 feet long on 142nd Street and 223 feet on Waterford Road. Our typical section is a 65-foot wide paving section with two 25-foot wide paving sections and a 15-foot median. It's our standard 8 1/4 reinforced concrete. We will have a 10-foot sidewalk on the west side of 142nd Street. There will be no sidewalk on the east side at this time, as it is the farm fields on the east side. And then on the north side of Waterford, we'll extend our 15-foot complete street section over to 142nd and extend the sidewalk on the south side of Waterford over to the intersection. This is a joint project with Grimes, and then we are the lead agency. This just kind of shows our assessment area. So we start on Oakwood Drive, and then we work our way north up to Waterford Road. The total assessment cost is just under $2 million. The city's cost is just under $5.5 million with a total project cost of around $7.4 million. As far as our assessments, again, Urbandale only assesses for 31 feet of the concrete paving and then 5 feet of the sidewalk. There are a total of 100 properties being assessed, but 96 of those have been covered through the final plating process, so they've either been covered by a bond or cash. So there'll be 4 properties with a new assessment. 2 of these properties have the potential for an agricultural deferment, and 1 property has the potential for an acreage reduction. And then there's 28 properties being assessed for the sidewalks. Again, 26 of those are covered through the final plating process, so there'll be 2 new assessments and 1 has the potential for the acreage reduction. The mayor did establish an assessment committee. Council members Bodie and Cacciatore were on that committee. We sent out an invite to everyone that's receiving or having an assessment. We held a meeting on December 12th to discuss the project and the assessment with them. We had 4 members of the public attend. The general questions had to do just with the project in general and kind of making sure they understood their assessment. Everybody that came in ultimately is covered under the bond or cash, so we'll have a 0 assessment when it's done. So the committee recommended that we make no changes to our assessment. With that, I'd be glad to answer any questions.
Thank you, John. Questions?
The east side where the farm is, when, I know that has services, so it could be developed, correct?
Part of it.
Part of it.
Yep.
So when that comes through, we would.
Then there'll be sidewalk. Yes.
There would be requirements and they would pay for it?
Correct.
Okay.
Right. Right now, also the other part is, the north part is in Grimes, and that's also farm field. So again, the sidewalks just don't go anywhere yet.
Thank you.
Yep.
All right, any other questions for John? All right, we are in a public hearing for this item, and I would like here to address the council on this item. All right, seeing none, is there a motion to close this public hearing?
So move.
Motion by Bodie.
Second.
Second by Carberry Montgomery. Discussion, please vote. That passes. There are 3 items for consideration.
Motion to approve resolution 011-2026.
Motion by Rosendahl.
Second.
Second by Cacciatore. Discussion, please vote. That passes.
Motion to approve resolution 012-2026.
Motion by Rosendahl.
Second.
Second by Cacciatore. Discussion, please vote. That passes.
Motion to approve resolution 013-2026.
Motion by Rosendahl.
Second.
Second by Cacciatore. Discussion, please vote. That passes. All right, thank you. Moving on then to establish public hearings. Get ready to set a whole new batch of public hearings. Item 8.1 is to consider establishing a public hearing for the electric franchise with the Mid-American Energy Company for January 2026, please. Oh, actually, yeah, for the ordinance, and then establishing February 3 is the public hearing, so.
Motion to approve resolution 015-2026.
Motion by Rosendahl,
Second.
second by Carberry Montgomery. Discussion, please vote. That passes. Item 8.2 is to establish the public hearing for the natural gas franchise with Mid-American Energy Company. Again, establishing January 20 is the public hearing for the consideration of the ordinance, and then establishing February 3 is the public hearing for the adoption of the resolution.
Motion to approve resolution 016-2026.
Motion by Rosendahl,
Second.
second by Cacciatore. Discussion, please vote. That passes. Item 8.3 is to establish the public hearing for the municipal code of update for Phase 1 of January 20.
Move approval of Resolution 019-2026.
Motion by Carberry and Montgomery.
Second.
Second by Kroll. Discussion, please vote. That passes. Item 8.4 is to establish the public hearing for 101st Street and Dennis Drive Preservation Project for February 3.
Move approval of resolution 002-2026.
Motion by Kroll.
Second.
Second by Cacciatore. Discussion, please vote. That passes. Item 8.5 is to establish the public hearing for the 65th Street Storm Sewer improvements from Meredith Drive to Townsend Avenue for February 3.
Move approval of resolution 003-2026.
By Kroll.
Second.
Second by Cacciatore. Discussion, please vote. That passes. Item 8.6 is to establish the public hearing for the 2026 PCC patch program Phase 1 for February 3.
I'll move for approval of resolution 0052026.
Motion by Cacciatore.
Second.
Second by Bodie. Discussion, please vote. That passes. Item 8.7 is to establish the public hearing for the 2026 PCC patch program Phase 2 for February 3.
Move resolution 0042026.
Motion by Cacciatore.
Second.
Second by Bodie. Discussion, please vote. That passes. And then finally, item 8.8 is to establish the public hearing for the Douglas Avenue urbanization plantings from Patricia Drive to 111th Street, again for February 3.
Again, I'll move resolution 0072026.
Motion by Cacciatore.
Second.
Second by Bodie. Discussion, please vote. That passes. So now you know what we're doing for the next two meetings, pretty much. So.
Yeah, right.
You ready for these, John?
All right, moving on to planning and zoning items. We have one, and that is item 9.1, which is the Walnut Hills Elementary 2026 Site Improvement Site Plan at 4240 156th Street. And to present this is Christy Bales, our interim community development director. Christy?
Very good. Thank you, and Happy New Year to everyone. One site plan on the agenda before you this evening, and the aerial photo is shown here, and then I'll pop over to the site plan. This is the Walnut Hills Elementary School campus on the west side of 156th Street, just south of Meredith Drive. This photo is not old. They've did their phase 1 improvements, 2025. So you saw this a little less than a year ago as a site plan for phase 1, where they redid the bus lane on the north side. Now they're going to go and do phase 2, and they're going to redo this southern parking lot where the parents drop off and general parking is proposed. A quick look, and then I'll flip. This is the demolition plan. Usually I don't show this because it's a bit too detailed, but all that hatched pavement is going away, and they're going to build this instead. So what they're going to do is redo their parking lot, have 2 queuing lanes, which is easiest to show in this diagram. They'll have one kind of up close next to the building and one that goes into the parking lot area. Everybody will be traveling in a counterclockwise motion through the site to get this done. There's no building construction proposed with this. It's all pavement work and interconnectivity with the site. So staff is recommending approval. The PUD master plan originally required that they have at least 1 queuing lane that accommodates 25, and they had that, and now they're going to go to 2. So the PUD master plan condition is met in that regard. Staff is recommending approval subject to the comments and conditions in the staff report. Planning and Zoning Commission recommended approval as well. With us tonight are Kirk Johnson from the Waukee School District and Joel Jackson with Bishop Engineering. I'll take any questions you may have and then turn it over to them. In case your question is how soon they plan to do the work this summer, well, no one is in school. So.
All right, thank you, Christy.
quick question that I have, just looking at this. Tell me about the precautions that are put in place to protect students if they're walking from that second pickup drop-off lane across the first.
Sure, so I'm gonna have Kirk come up, and I think he's probably gonna talk about this widened sidewalk here.
I always like be able to give my address because it's Urbandale, so 4233 162nd Street in Urbandale. Thank you, Mayor, Council. So this is the second renovation project we've done that's similar. So to the Councilwoman's question, the exit and entrance there would be staffed by crossing guards, on-duty people. So it'd be hashed. I think that's what you're asking. Yeah. So we did this project at Brookview Elementary a year ago. So we're 2 years or a year and a half into that. And the intent of that project was also to be neighborly and try to get as many cars off of 81st Street, I think, in West Des Moines. So we're going to try to do that on 156th Street. And yes, so students would only pass between there either with their parents or with crossing guards.
Okay, great, thank you.
Kirk, as a proud alumni parent of Walnut Hills, I have some degree of familiarity with this, and I think this is great, but I am concerned about the parking spots in that second interior traffic lane, you know, that there's going to be, especially the handicap spots, the inability to access those during the, you know, very early arriving parents and, you know, that whole time period. Those parking spots and then the handicap, because people don't want to let you out.
Yeah, fair question.
Or in.
Yeah, fair question. I'm trying to visualize Brookview right now. Where my first thought was to that, Bridget, was we try to park staff in some of those spots so that we know they're not leaving. And if they are leaving, they park somewhere else. But to your question on handicap, I think that's something we can address, we can work through and talk about. Our goal would be, we would have cars stop just outside that, where you can see on that second lane. So we would have handicap accessible spots there, but I think.
So parents will be able to, they won't have to, if they're in that second lane, they won't have to walk their kids in like they do now. They can roll up, stop, hopefully.
It's all fluid. There's so many, as you well know, there's so many things that can happen. How many people drive, what are the weather conditions?
Because you're not even talking about 159th in my part of the neighborhood that has a lot of traffic too.
Yeah, so to know right now how many cars would be there or wouldn't be there on a given day.
But the kid, I mean, a parent won't, if they're in that second lane, they can stop at that sidewalk area. Let the kid
it just
out.
takes, it's a new thing, so I think it's gonna take a little bit of time for people to understand.
We know about education processes when it comes to school drop-offs, so we're very
talk to
patient.
Police officers in here about adult driving.
So, no, I think this is great.
Yeah.
If you could do something about the kids that ride their bikes on 159th, that'd be a whole nother thing, but that's not really your issue.
We're excited. We think this is going to improve the site, improve the area. You know, the building's a little over 20 years old, so this is a good next step with the land that we do have developed. We've done a lot of interior and exterior improvements to the facility, so we think this is one of the best next steps.
And are you taking the small playground out then?
Yeah, so there is a small playground. It'd be just to the west of the main entrance, and we're taking that out to extend the queuing lane and get that further as far to the west as we can to help. A lot of people a lot smarter than I designed that, so we just work with them. So.
Well, I'll move Council Letter 8409.
Okay, motion by Carberry Montgomery,
Second.
second by Kroll. Any further discussion? If not, please vote. That passes. All right, thank you. Item 10, regular agenda items. First is item 10.1, and that's to consider the custodial services contract extension for the enclosed park shelters, open air shelters, and outside restrooms. And John will answer any questions if there are. If not, is there a motion?
Move resolution 009, 2026.
Motion by Bodie,
Second.
second by Rosendahl. Discussion, please vote. That passes. Item 10.2 is consider the professional service agreement for the Walnut Creek Regional Park splash pad. And Jan, is there any questions on this?
In the email that you sent out this afternoon, David, there was discussion of how we would push out the public comment. And I would like to make sure that we send it out to Waukee schools or the 3 elementary schools in Urbandale so that it gets sent out in their newsletters and their Facebook page, because I think that's an important, and also probably, through Urbandale schools at Webster as well and Des Moines Christian, a great way to get input for our target audience.
We'll pass that along. I did get an email from Derek this afternoon that indicated that the survey is set up, and it'll open at 8 o'clock on January 7th and will end at 5 on January 21st. So we'll talk to communications staff about sharing that more broadly with the school districts and so forth.
Thanks. I'll move approval of resolution 010-2026.
Motion by Carberry Montgomery,
Second.
second by Bodie. Discussion, please vote. That passes. All right, with regard to item 11, my recommendation would be that we defer this tonight until the Tuesday lunch and learn. It's 6:30 now. I'd like to give everybody, including our staff, the opportunity to go to Chief Holt's daughter's visitation right now. So I think if we can wrap up, and we have plenty of time on the Tuesday lunch and learn agenda to cover that. So with that, if we can defer that. We'll get to the city manager's report and council items, and we'll wrap up and let everybody get over to the visitation. So,
Nothing tonight.
Blake?
I guess, I'm looking forward to an exciting 2026. There's a lot of different things that we're getting going on, and looking forward to that. One thing that I wrote down in regard to the flat camera stuff, I think it would be worthwhile to learn a bit more about the encrypted communication concern that the gentleman brought up. Just making sure that, is that example more of a configuration issue with a certain community, or was it, or is that kind of like a broader concern? So I'd love to hear more about that.
I will have a conversation with the chief in the morning and we'll follow up.
Excellent, thank you.
Bridget?
Well, I haven't had a dart meeting, and there hasn't been an opportunity for the Waukee Northwest girls to win a championship since our last meeting, so, and I'm in a new spot here. But I just really wanted to thank our staff for a great 2025, and, a lot of challenges, but I think we really, as a community, led by our amazing staff, met all those challenges. And I especially want to give a shout out to the Parks Department for Miracle on 86th Street. I just cannot say enough. I'm happy that the lights are still on, because it kind of makes me sad when they go off. It's becoming a mainstay in the community. Family, friends, child got engaged there over the holidays. I mean, it's a big deal for the metro, and I'm proud, really proud that it's in Urbandale. So, thank. If you bring cookies, yeah. No, but no, I mean, it's just warms my heart, and I think it's one of the best out of the box ideas Jan's ever had. Scott and Jan.
Yeah. All right.
Thank you.
Pat?
I want to ditto what's just been said and also just reinforce that I know people from all over the metro who've been coming to Miracle on 86th Street, and I'm seeing pictures and hearing from friends. It's really been exciting. So thank you for that. I wanted to give a shout out to Kristen, too, for the work she's been doing with the Watershed Management Authority. I really appreciate a very challenging time of year, and yet she's gotten some great information over to those folks. I really appreciate that. And I want to thank staff for 2025, ditto that, but also in particular appreciate the updates of the CIP that occurred so that we can feel really good about some of the leadership that we're providing in the climate world. And I want to mention one thing about the flock piece. I know that some of the other communities in the metro also have the flock cameras, but have maybe slightly different policies related to it. So I was just wondering if there might not be worthwhile to do a little bit more collaborative work in terms of understanding what everybody else is doing. And I think some of that was brought up about how the information gets used via flock is something we may need to know more about.
Happy to follow up on that. I do know that our CALIA accreditation, there's specific policy guidance specific to this issue that I think puts Urbandale in a better position than perhaps other communities.
Yeah, that may well be the case. It might be worthwhile for us to all know more about it.
Yeah.
We keep getting questions about it. Okay, thanks.
Thanks, Pat. Amy?
I have nothing to add.
All right, Joe?
Yeah, I concur with the comments about flock and would like to know a bit more. So I'll echo that. Also, I noticed in the consent agenda, the appointment for boards and commissions. We had some really impressive resumes and folks who applied, and I think that's just great. I want to thank people who applied for boards and commissions. I also think it reflects well on us that there is a good mix of both longtime residents and newer residents on boards and commissions. I think that's awesome. It shows that we're a welcoming community. So I just want to mention that. The Urbandale girls basketball team won their first CIML game in about 6 years over Southeast Polk. Want to congratulate them. The boys, the Jayhawk boys, had a win over number 5 ranked Ames just either last night or the night before. Congratulations to them. And then finally, and most importantly, Jeff Harrison won the Lions Club Chili Cook-Off, of which I was the judge.
How was your stomach the next day?
It was great. He had just the right amount of heat, just the right amount of consistency. And but you're right, there was like some white chili involved and other kinds of chili. But my stomach survived it, but that was fun. That's all I got.
Great, thanks, Joe. Again, thank you, everybody. Thanks for this. I do want to make sure everybody has the opportunity to get there. So with that, I have nothing further, and we will